This is Joué Play. Joué Play consists of a board, pads, and software used to make music. From finger drumming and playing an instrument to learning and creating songs, it's a complete package that's intuitive and fun to make music with. In this video, we'll look at this unique device, its companion app, and also advanced features like MEP and Daw Integration. Then we'll discuss who this may be best suited for. Let's start by looking at the Joué Play hardware. One unique feature of Joué Play are the rubber pads that it comes with. Each pad represents a different instrument. You can quickly swap them to change the function and sounds of the device. There are currently 5 different pads, which we'll look at shortly. The device, or board as it's called, does not generate sound on its own. It is essentially a MIDI controller. The board relies on the companion app or a DAW to generate sound and create songs. The board has a single USB-C connector for power and to communicate with a host device such as an iPad, Mac, or Windows computer. It comes with a pouch, USB-C cable, 2 clever adapters, one from USB-C to Apple's Lightning connector, and the other from USB-C to USB-A. It also comes with 4 pads, a drum pad, piano pad, guitar pad, and keys pad. The pads come in 2 color options, fire or water. This is the fire color option. Let's connect it to a computer using the included USB cable. With the device connected to a computer, let's launch the companion app. The companion app is used to finger drum and play different instruments as well as to learn and make songs. Each pad has several different sound presets. More about this later. The homepage of the app displays user projects and covers, which are demo projects you can learn, and there are artist packs that you can purchase. Let's start a new project by pressing the plus sign at the top of the homepage. The app requires the board and a pad to function. Let's start with drums. Place the drum pad on the board. The software will detect the pad and display a corresponding graphic. Note, the pads are directional. Make sure that the finger pull, which is at the top right of the pad, is oriented to the top right when placed on the board. Play the pads to hear the instrument. We can record our performance into the app. First, let's set the tempo of the project. Tap the tempo icon on the bottom left of the app. A menu will come up. You can set the tempo either using the slider and plus and minus buttons, tap the tempo in, or set it to free. Free allows you to play notes and the tempo will be auto-detected. Let's set the tempo using the slider. When finished, tap the tempo icon to close the menu. Next, we can use a metronome to help keep our performance in time. Tap the metronome icon on the bottom left of the app to toggle it on and off. If we press play in the app or on the pad, we will hear the metronome and we can practice playing along to it. You can adjust the level of the metronome in the settings menu. Press play again to stop playback. When we're ready to record, press the record button in the app or on the pad. A countdown timer will start. Play the pads to record the performance. Pressing the record button will disengage recording mode. An undo button will appear after recording. If you don't like the performance that was recorded, press undo and repeat the recording process. Additionally, you can clear the performance of a track by pressing the trash icon to the right of the part. At the top left, there is a magnet icon. Pressing it will bring up the quantization settings. 0 is off and there are 3 levels of quantization that can be applied. There are 2 views within each track, and you can use the icons on the left to switch between them. The eye icon represents the track's visual feedback. This brings up an enlargement of the current pad. Start playback to see the notes being played in real time. For example, you can use this feature to learn performances of cover songs included in the companion app. The sound icon brings up a menu of presets for the current app. There is a circle of available presets. Press the right arrow button in the app for additional presets. Start playback to hear the recorded performance and try various presets. Or if playback is stopped, play the pads to hear the selected preset. Side note, you can create your own drum preset. We'll talk about this later. Press the pads icon in the app to close the menu. Each pad has effects which can be applied to the current sound preset. Effects are controlled using the effect area and effect bubble on the pad. Note that the layout of these varies from pad to pad. Let's see how these work. The effect area uses the X and Y axes to apply effects. On the drum pad, the Y axis is reverb and the X axis is distortion. If we start from the bottom left and slide our finger to the top left, we will hear reverb being applied to the preset. Keep in mind that the settings will stay where you last touched. If we slide our finger from the bottom left to the bottom right, we will hear distortion being applied. Touching the top right will apply both effects. Touching the bottom left will remove the effect. The effect bubble is a pressure-sensitive button to control effects. Press the button to hear how it changes the preset. Letting go will return to its previous state. Effects can be recorded into a performance. Press play to start playback. When you're ready to record, press the record button to enter overdub recording. Use the effect area and effect bubble to apply effects. Press the record button or play button when finished. If desired, press the undo button to discard the last recording. Repeat these steps until you like the recorded performance. Additional parts or sections of a song can be added to a project. Let's say you wanted to add a B part. Press the plus sign at the top right of the app. A menu will come up. You can name the part and set its length. Press OK to confirm. Note that this will add a part to the whole project, not just the current track. At the top of the screen, we see the parts of the project. You can select a part to loop it. You can even loop a single measure within a part. Press it again and it will loop the whole project. Also, by selecting it, you can edit its name, duplicate it, and delete it. Press and hold the part's name to drag it and change its order in the project. Once we have recorded all the parts we want to add in this track, we can add additional tracks. Press the back button at the top left of the app. This will bring you to the main page of the project. There are two ways to add tracks depending on which pad you want to use for the next track. Say you want to add another drum track. Press the plus sign at the center of the screen. The project circle in the middle of the screen splits to show another track was added. It will be highlighted to show it's selected. Side note, you can long press a track in this screen to delete it. Another note, there is a red dot within the track that shows that the track is armed. Press the gray dot in another track to switch which track is armed. Keep in mind that a performance is recorded into an armed track. With our new track armed, press the pad icon to enter the track. It will show the sound preset for the track, which we can change. Let's say we wanted this track to only come in on one part of the project. Select a part at the top of the page to loop just that part. Now let's quickly record a part for this sound preset. When we're done recording, we can press the back button to return to the main page of the project. Let's look at the other way to add a track. If we switch pads, it will automatically add a track for the new pad placed on the device. Let's try the piano pad. Note, this method works best when you place a new pad on the board for the first time. Otherwise, swapping pads switches between existing tracks. Press the pad's icon to enter the tracks page. We can select a different sound preset. We can then select a specific part to record to, or deselect to record to all parts of this track. Let's record each part separately. Select a part to loop it. Press the record button to start countdown and recording. When we like what we recorded into a part, select another part to loop it and repeat the recording process. Before we move on, a few notes about the piano pad. Like the drum pad, we have an effect bubble to apply an effect. The piano pad features an effects strip, which applies an effect only in the x-axis. Additionally, the up and down arrows allow you to switch octaves up or down. Let's switch to the guitar pad. This unique pad allows you to play a string instrument like a guitar, bass, or harp. Left of the first fret represents an open string. There are 7 frets. And you can move the octave range up or down using the arrows. There's also an effects area and an effects bubble. Notice the tuner fork icon on the left. Press this to bring up a menu of different tuning options for the guitar pad. Let's record some parts into this track. The next pad is called the keys pad. This is similar to the piano pad, though the notes are in scale. Having the notes in scale is a nice feature, especially if you aren't fluent in piano scales. Let's explore how this works. If we select the tuner icon, we see several options for different scales and keys. By default, we see that the scale is set to pentatonic major in the key of E. Notice that the notes are arranged according to the circle of fifths. Let's take a minute to explain this for those who are unfamiliar. The pentatonic major is a variation of the major scale, though with 5 notes instead of 7, and it's a very common scale in music. For example, in the key of E, the notes are E, F sharp, G sharp, B, and C sharp. The scale starts on the leftmost key of the pad, then repeats on the 6th key. Notice the bumps or honing bars at the top of the keys which correspond to this pattern. With these, the root notes of the scale can be quickly identified. By changing the root note of the scale, the pattern on the keys remains the same. Let's record a part for our project. Once you have all the tracks for your project, it is useful to mix the audio levels of each track. At the bottom left of the app is a speaker icon. Press that to open the mixer. On the left, there is a master output level, then each track of the project. By default, all levels are at full volume. You can lower each track's volume to taste. Also, clicking on track icons will mute and unmute each track. In addition to the 4 pads that come with the board, an audio pad was released. This pad is unique in that it does not have any sound presets like the other pads. Instead, audio can be recorded into a track. Additionally, the audio pad has several effects and controls which allow for heavy alteration of the audio recorded into the track. Let's start by recording some audio into this track. By default, it will record using the computer's microphone, and it will likely pick up the computer's speaker. To avoid recording audio from the speakers, let's connect some headphones. Now we can record audio into the track. Press record to start countdown and recording.
This is a test of the microphone.
On the left, there are 3 effect preset buttons as well as a random button. Store your favorite presets or try random settings. You can alter the effect using the pads. The settings will stay where you last touched.
Of the microphone test.
The right side of the pad has a circle within which there are 4 additional effects. This effect will disengage when you let go of the touch area. Another way to use the audio pad is to record audio using an audio interface. This greatly expands the possibilities of your project. Click on the gear icon, then Audio Settings. In the Input section, select your audio interface. Note, I found a bug here where the input's audio would come from the computer's microphone despite being set to a different input. Switching back and forth between inputs a few times eventually engage the correct input. Hopefully this gets fixed in the future. I'm going to select the Mustang Micro so that I can record a guitar. Let's record a guitar. Press record to start countdown and recording. Now we can apply effects to the audio that was recorded. For advanced users and those wanting to get the most out of their Joué system, you will want to purchase the Joué Pro option. This is an additional piece of software that allows you to customize the settings of each pad. Let's open the Pro app, which is called Joué Editor. Play Factory Pad Presets appears on the left. You can select a pad, duplicate it, and change individual settings of parameters on the right. For example, here we can enable MEP features for each pad. We'll discuss MEP in a minute. Editor's note: once settings have been made, you must drag them from the pad below to the pad icon above to send them to the board. This is a good segue to discuss integration of the board with a DAW. Let's open Ableton Live and configure the MIDI settings to work with the board. In Ableton, go to Preferences, go to MIDI Settings, and make sure that Joué Play is checked in the track input. Close the Preferences menu when finished. Now, if we arm a MIDI track, the board can be used for MIDI input of that track. The board also has MEP capabilities. For those who don't know about MEP, let's quickly explain. MEP, which stands for MIDI Polyphonic Expression, allows for more information to be transmitted from a compatible controller to a compatible host. What this means is that the subtleties of your playing are transmitted within MIDI information, creating more expressive performances. MEP is one of the most exciting advancements in MIDI protocol. To illustrate this, let's first play notes without MEP enabled. Now let's turn on MEP. To enable this, go to Ableton's Preferences, then MIDI Settings. Check the MEP box in the input for Joué Play. Close this screen. In Joué Editor, ensure that MEP is also checked for the current pad. You may need to first unlock the pad. Now let's play notes to hear the difference. In terms of Dawless integration, it is possible to use Joué Play directly with 5-pin DIN outboard gear using a special cable that splits USB into USB and 5-pin DIN MIDI. However, I couldn't get a hold of this cable to test it. Instead, I landed on this setup, which uses a computer and a DAW to make the connection between the two. I know this isn't Dawless. In my tests, I needed a computer or iPad to use Joué Play. There are export options for your project. These can be found by selecting the three-dot icon of a project in the main screen of the app. Then press the Share icon. Here you can export a stereo mix of the project, stems, MIDI clips, and the project file. You can create your own user drum presets, which can be used in different projects. The way this works is that you press a pad to record audio into it.
Testing.
Using your computer's microphone to build presets has its limits. Instead, you could record through an interface, though that too has its limitations. Ideally, users could select audio files on the computer in addition to recording from an audio input. Maybe this could be added in future firmware. There are a few requests and improvements we'd like to see. It would be nice to see a chord mode for the piano and keys pads. For example, when engaged, playing a single note on a pad would trigger a chord to play with that root note. Currently, the companion app is not supported as a VST, but this would be a great feature to have. The app does not allow you to edit notes that were recorded into a track. This isn't a deal breaker, but it means more time will be spent recording a perfect performance instead of quickly correcting the timing of a note here and there. No software is perfect, and the companion app is no exception. The little idiosyncrasies do throw a hiccup into the experience with the system. Hopefully, Joué will continue to fix bugs with future firmware releases. So, who is this device best suited for? The intuitive and simple nature of the device suggests it's for beginners. The app features many songs you can learn to play, as well as a way to study how they were constructed. As you learn it, there are plenty of features for users to grow from beginners to intermediate music makers. If you're just starting to learn music, Joué Play is worth looking into. The versatility that the pads offer is truly unique. Typically, devices either have keys or pads. Having the ability to swap the interface on the device means it does more than most devices. And if additional pads continue to be released and the app continues to expand, the potential for the system is great. It is also easy to use and fun. The learning curve is relatively light. I could see this being used in classrooms with kids or even adults to learn and play music. It is one of the least expensive MEP controllers currently on the market. If you primarily use a DAW and don't plan on using the app, some of its value may be lost. But strictly as a portable MEP controller, Joué Play should be on the short list of possible devices to consider. If you are considering this device, check out the description for a discount. That's right, by buying it through the link below, you get a small discount on the device, and it also supports this channel. Win-win. Speaking of supporting the channel, consider subscribing if you learned something. And thanks for your support. Peace.